أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Welcome. Let's step together into a landscape painted with some really stark contrasts, drawn right from the heart of Sūrah Fāṭir. The Quran gives us this series of paired opposites, blind and seeing, darkness and light, life and death. But these aren't just about physical things out there in the world. They're actually profound states of consciousness, inviting us to see where we, ourselves, truly stand. So our reflection is going to begin with 3 of these powerful pairings that the Quran presents, really helping us distinguish between the path of guidance and the path of misguidance. The very first distinction is laid out so clearly, so simply. Not equal are the blind and the seeing. Now, on the surface, that seems pretty obvious, right? But its real depth, well, that begins to unfold the moment we look just a little bit closer. You see, we're talking about 2 kinds of vision here. There's the outer sight, the physical job our eyes do. But the Sufi masters, they always point us towards something deeper, an inner sight. It's called basira, the heart's own perception. As the great mystic Al-Qushayri noted, true blindness isn't about the eyes at all. It's when the heart's insight is veiled from what is real. And you have to pay attention to the language the Quran uses. It's so specific. It talks about darknesses in the plural, but when it talks about light, it's always singular. And trust me, this is not just poetic. It's an absolutely crucial metaphor for our own inner world. Nor are the darknesses equal to the light. This verse connects directly to what's happening inside of us. If sight is about perception, then light is what makes that perception even possible to begin with. So on one level, sure, this is a contrast between disbelief and faith. But if we go deeper, those darknesses can be seen as the many, many layers of our own ego, our nafs. Think about it. Our desires are often scattered, conflicting, pulling us in a dozen different directions. The divine light of faith, though, that's one. It's singular, it's unifying, and it's crystal clear. And finally, for this first set of contrasts, we have this. Nor is the shade equal to the scorching heat. This imagery, you can almost feel it, can't you? It evokes a certain feeling, a state of being in the soul. What this is really illustrating for us are 2 potential states for our soul. On one side, you have the cool, peaceful shade of sakina, that tranquility that just descends on a heart that's in remembrance of God. And on the other, you have the scorching heat of a life that's just consumed by the passions and anxieties of the ego. One brings rest, the other, total exhaustion. Okay, so now the reflection takes a bit of a pivot. It turns from these external metaphors and goes right to the very core of our being, our spiritual receptivity. And this brings us to what is maybe the most profound contrast of all. Nor are the living and the dead alike. Now, this isn't talking about biological life and death. It's asking a much, much deeper question. It's asking us, is your heart alive? The mystics have a beautiful term for this. They call it hayat al-qalb, the life of the heart. A living heart isn't just one that beats. It's a heart that's receptive, one that truly listens. As Imam Sakhandi said, it's a heart that trembles at the mention of God. It's spiritually vital. It's awake. And then the verse continues with this powerful reminder, not just for the prophet, but for all of us who try to call to truth. It says, but you cannot make those in the graves hear. The message can be delivered for sure, but guidance, that act of actually giving life to a heart, that's a divine gift, and a divine gift alone. So this leads us straight to the role of the prophet, and this beautiful, universal pattern of divine mercy and warning that has just unfolded throughout all of human history. The Quran clarifies the prophet's role with perfect precision. It says, you are only a warner. His task is simply to convey the truth. And this is not a one-time event. The verse goes on to affirm a universal law. There was never a nation but that a warner had passed among them. Just think about that. No community was ever left all by itself without some form of guidance. And just as that call to truth is universal, well, so is the response of denial. The verses gently remind us that if the messenger is rejected, he's certainly not the first. Previous communities, they also denied their messengers, even when they brought the clearest signs. And the whole section concludes with this sobering, really awe-inspiring verse. It's a rhetorical question that just seems to echo through time. Then I seized those who disbelieved. How severe was my punishment? It's a moment that really makes you pause and just contemplate the consequences of turning away. So now that we've walked through this landscape of contrasts, the invitation turns fully inward. The Quran isn't just a text to be understood, it's a mirror. It's a mirror for us to see our own state. So let's just ask ourselves, quietly and honestly, when I look at the world, at my own life, am I really seeing with my heart's insight? Am I truly gazing, or am I just looking at surfaces? And where do I really dwell? Is my inner world lit up by that singular unifying light? Or do I find myself kind of lost in the many layers of shadow? The anxieties, the attachments, the endless distractions of the ego. And then maybe the most important question of all, is my heart alive? Is it responsive? Is it tender? Is it able to hear those subtle calls from the divine? Or has it become numb, hardened, and deaf to the very message it was created to receive? And so, we can turn to him with this prayer, just a quiet conversation from the heart. O Allah, who makes light clear and darkness known, open the eyes of my heart to see your truth. Shield me from the heat of heedlessness, and let me rest in your shade. Make my heart among the living, my ears attuned to your whisper, and my steps follow the warner's call. Amin. This reflection is shared with you by Mir Ali Shah, just another seeker on the path. Thank you so much for joining us in living the wisdom of the Quran. And may we all be granted a seeing eye, a hearing ear, and a truly living heart.